Hello everyone, I'm Oz and welcome to the channel, and today I want to talk about the current state of the Xbox ecosystem. Phil Spencer a couple of weeks ago did an interview and I just want to cover what The Verge did in an article, basically saying how losing the Xbox One generation was the worst generation to lose. Now if you're new to the channel, I'm Oz, lovely to meet you. I've previously worked as a social media manager in the esports scene, notably with the McLaren Shadow, Mercedes-AMG esports, and Holocha esports teams. In this video, I just want to cover what I think is the current state of the Xbox, where I feel their shortcomings have been, where they should be heading, and what things they should be changing in their strategies as they move into the future of this current generation of gaming. So with that, I have an article here from The Verge, and let's read through it and let's sort of share and discuss my thoughts. Microsoft's Xbox chief thinks losing the Xbox One generation was the worst generation to lose. Phil Spencer reflects on the state of Xbox, the CMA's big decision, and Redfall launch in new interview. It's been a rough couple of weeks for Xbox that's had fans questioning the state of Microsoft's console in gaming in business. First, there was news of a 30% drop in Xbox hardware revenue following the CMA's decision to block the Microsoft's giant $68.7 billion Activision Blizzard and I want to put King on their acquisition, and topped off by Redfall launching earlier this week in a very lukewarm reception. And Redfall, I played it for literally less than half an hour, to an hour, and I was just completely done. I was just like, yeah, no, this isn't a good game. Just straight up, it doesn't look good, it doesn't play good, it doesn't feel good. It feels rushed. The map itself is tiny, and it's 100 gig off my hard drive as well. It was insane. And the really sad thing about it is that I'm a big fan of Arcane. I love Arcane. I think they're amazing. But anyway, I will get on to that and Arcane and Redfall in a bit. And when you combine all of this with a quiet year of Xbox releases in 2022, Xbox fans are wondering when Microsoft is going to deliver a slew of AAA games like they saw in the 360 generation. We're not in the business of out-consoling Sony or out-consoling Nintendo, says Xbox chief Phil Spencer in an interview with Kind of Funny Gaming. Spencer said something similar to Verge in 2019, with Microsoft a gaming strategy focused across Xbox, PC, cloud, and mobile, not just consoles anymore. Spencer doesn't think that just building great games is enough to win in a console anymore. Hard disagree, but we will get onto that one. I see the community that if you just build great games, everything will turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody had built their digital library of games. I see the community that if you just build a great games, everything will turn around. It's just not true that if we go off and build great games, all of a sudden you're going to see console share shift in some dramatic way. We lost the worst generation to lose in the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games. We want our Xbox community to feel awesome, but the idea that if we just focus more on great games on our console, that somehow we are going to win the console race, it doesn't really lay into the reality of most people. And there is no world where Starfield is an 11 out of 10 and people start selling their PS5s. That's not going to happen. Now, little story. I convinced one of my good friends, Josh, who had been hardcore Xbox from the 360 to Xbox One, to then switch over to the PS5 this generation because of all of the great games which have then come out. Because of all of the great games such as The Last of Us, God of War, Uncharted, Ghost of Tsushima. I actually lent him my PS4 versions when he first got his PS5 because it was quite expensive at the time. You just need some games to play. Great games always sell in consoles, whether it's at the rate Xbox wants. That's up to, that's not something I can answer. However, people seem to forget during the 360 era, PS3 won. It beat the Xbox in the end. And some people might turn around and say, well, Oz, PlayStation had Japan. Well, Xbox is an American company. There's no reason that Xbox shouldn't be second place in the USA. It's like Like, great games sell good hardware. Great games sell hardware. For end of, full stop. That's just the entire business model of making console and putting out games. I am really glad that they have moved over their stuff onto the PC. You know, I basically sold my Xbox One. I don't have any incentive to spend another the £500 or £300 on a Series X or S. But at the same time, you know, I'm subbed to Game Pass for £10.99 a month, and I'm kind of sitting here wondering, well, is it really worth it? Because really, the only good game that's come out on Game Pass recently has been Forza Horizon 5, and since then, been a little bit quiet. But anyway, moving on. Spencer is probably right, but Microsoft challenges with Halo Infinite and Redfall have fans worried about some of its biggest titles that are designed for Xbox fans and Xbox in Game Pass. After all, when Microsoft spent 7.5 billion on Bethesda, it was all about delivering great exclusive for Xbox in Game Pass. I'm upset with myself, admits Spencer, discussing Redfall launch with kinda funny games. The critical response was not what we wanted. While he praised the developers at Arcane, Spencer admits that the team didn't hit their own internal goals when we launched. Okay, so if a game hasn't hit their own internal targets, why on earth have you launched it? Like, why have you launched it? If it didn't meet internally, then why? All eyes are now on Starfield, with Microsoft confirming this week it is all show of new gameplay during the Starfield Direct event in June 11th. After a controversial round of lack of 60 FPS mode for Redfall, Spencer also says that Xbox will make it clear to fans this summer about Starfield when it's will have its own 60 FPS mode. So what's the future of Xbox right now? The console is the core of the Xbox brand, there's no doubt, says Spencer. Will stay focused on making sure that console experience is awesome. But I know some people want to hold us up as being in better green version of what the blue guys do. I'm not going to say there's no win for Xbox by staying in the wake of somebody else. We have to go off and do our own thing with Game Pass and stuff we do with xCloud and the way we build our in games. So with all that said, I'm just to basically give some context here. I have an OG Xbox. I have an Xbox 360. As I said before, I did have an Xbox One. I had an Xbox One X in fact, but not anymore. My issue with Microsoft and Xbox is I feel they're playing it too safe. I feel like we haven't got that Halo 3 moment, that Gears of War moment, that Forza Horizon 1 moment that pushed the Xbox brand to where it was. And previously, being both a PS3 owner and an Xbox 3 and the 360 owner, it was almost like if you wanted online and you wanted to play games with your friends, you went Team Green. If you wanted single player games and you know those great single player experiences, you went Team Blue. Now, of course, last generation things sort of converged, and what happened is Sony, I personally think, with their film experience, with their studios being so linked to places like LA, so Naughty Dog is in LA, they're clearly poaching people from the film industry, or the other way around, where people from Naughty Dog go into the film industry, and with things like The Last of Us now as well, you know, I only think it's a matter of time until Neil Druckmann basically leaves Naughty Dog and becomes a Hollywood film director, but that's a conversation for another time. What Xbox didn't realize is they kept on pushing on the multiplayer, but getting good at multiplayer was easy. You know, PSN is up and running. It's great. It's flawless. It's nowhere near as bad as it used to be. Making good single player games, which makes your console the number one place to play games, that's harder. And the other thing which I feel Microsoft really lacked on, and this is sort of the nightmares of the Xbox One coming to haunt them again, is the hardcore computer gamers like you and I. We set the trend for the rest of the generation. We're the ones who are early adopters, and we set the tone, because when the slim versions come out, or when the pro versions come out, when the X versions come out, whatever the hell they want to call them, when, you know, Timmy goes up to mum and dad and says, look, I want a computer gaming console this year for Christmas. Timmy on the playground is going to go, okay, what do all my friends have? And if all my friends have a PlayStation because it was £100 cheaper and it had more, it had great online, but yet had more exclusive single player games, which my friends can swap around with on the playground, then, you can't then turn around and say, well, our strategy was to push Netflix and home theater, which never made any sense to anybody. You were there to sell a computer game console, not a multimedia hub. The multimedia hub stuff came much later. I think for PlayStation was sort of an afterthought. It's like, do you want Netflix? Yep, there's the app. Do you want Amazon Prime? Yep, there's the app. If you want to watch YouTube, yep, there's the app. But it wasn't advertising to me. It wasn't constantly just him bombarding me with information and just this awful UI experience. I think I'm getting a little bit off track here. Ultimately, what I think is Microsoft really needs to refocus their efforts. They need to come out and make good games first, whether they're live services or single player. However, I do feel that the live service market is now completely over. I think if you weren't there around about 7 years ago, you're too late. And we saw that with the Marvel Avengers game, which I think is getting turned off at the end of the year anyway. So with the live service market, continuously shrinking, go for your single player games, make a new Gears of War, make a decent Halo, which isn't like Far Cry. Halo Infinite to me was basically in Far Cry Halo, and I didn't really enjoy it. Also, don't be afraid to push the boundaries with storytelling. I still don't think at Microsoft we've got an equivalent to games like The Last of Us or even God of War. I think if Microsoft are on a massive purchasing spree, possibly buying up someone like FromSoft, as much as a part of me would hate that, it would make a lot of sense, especially if this Activision Blizzard King deal falls through as well. Yeah, anyway, that was me just sort of sharing my thoughts and rambling along. Let me know what you guys think Microsoft should do in the comments below. Should they start making single player games more like Sony, or should they continue on the strategy which they're kind of heading on at the moment, which is basically just playing up as many studios as they can? But anyway, I'm Oz. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.